Hey folks, it's Ray at DCRainmaker.com here, and taking your very first look at the new Suunto 7 watch. Now, as you saw in the title there, I think this is definitely a bit of a game changer, at least for Suunto, because up until now, the last 2 years or so, Suunto's been on a bit of a, I don't want to say it's a decline, they've kind of lost the plot a little bit, and they've had a tough time competing in the market. On one end, you've got Garmin with more of the endurance side of stuff that's doing obviously very, very well for them, and the other end, you've got Apple with more of the smartwatch side of things that of course is doing very, very well for them. And there's obviously other players beyond that, but Suunto is really squeezed by those two. If you wanted sports, you went Garmin. If you wanted, basically that whole smartwatch thing, you likely went to Apple or maybe towards Samsung if you were an Android user. The challenge for Suunto users was they didn't really have that smartwatch experience, and they couldn't really compete on the features for the Garmin side of things. So what'd Suunto do? Well, they just simply went to Google, like you and I would for searching for anything else. They went searching for a partner, and they found Wear OS. Now, before you think you need to have Android for Wear OS, you don't. You can use it just fine with an iPhone. In fact, that's actually what I'm doing right here. I've got the Suunto 7 paired up to an iPhone and using the majority of the features. There are some nuanced things that do require Android, but we can talk about down that road in a full review. For now, I'll just talk about some of the specs. Now, like most Wear OS watches, the battery life isn't terribly awesome. So it's basically 2 days of standby use, and that seems to be a little bit optimistic right now based on my testing thus far, but we'll just say it's 2 days. And you got for 12 hours in GPS mode, so if you're out for a run or a hike or whatever it may be, and you're going 12 hours, you can theoretically do that. With music mode, because yes, it does have music, it gets up to 8 hours of streaming music, and that's to a Bluetooth headphone device of some sort. And streaming, by the way, streaming to your headphones, not from the cloud. You can download music onto this. There's 8 gigs of storage on there. About 5 of that is usable, but you can use Google's Music Play subscription service to go ahead and put music on this device and take it with you without having your phone with you. There is no cellular connectivity in the watch itself. It does depend on your phone or Wi-Fi connectivity for connecting out to the greater internet. On the back of it here is a new optical heart rate sensor. This one's from a company called LifeQ. You may have heard of them before. Back about 4 or 5 years ago, they supplied TomTom with their optical heart rate sensors, and apparently they're still around, and that's what Suunto found to put in this one. Another big change is they went away from the Sony GPS chipset that everyone was using in 2019 and really this year as well, and they went to using a GPS chip put on the Qualcomm chipset inside of this. So I don't want to say no name, but kind of a no name thing atop the Qualcomm one. So we'll have to see how that works out. My initial testing, I just got back from a run just a few minutes ago, and yeah, we'll see. Vegas is very, very tough, which is where I'm at right now for GPS. And so I'm not going to say it was like terrible, but it also wasn't great either. So we'll say it's more testing required. Okay, some of those top line specs out of the way, let's just simply sit down with this thing and go through the user interface, and we'll kind of talk through more of the details as we go along. Some of the features, what's there, what's not there, what's new, what's different, how it compares to something like the Suunto 9 here. Okay, if you're finding this video interesting or useful or any of those things, just quickly whack that like button right there. It really helps with the video and the channel quite a bit. Okay, so here we are on the watch face itself. You'll see right away just how brilliant it is compared to other watches. There we go, there's something synchronizing in the background there, but all good. And you'll see right there, it's so much nicer. About the same watch face size as a Suunto 9, though a little bit thinner than that, of course, and definitely also a little bit lighter. This is only 70 grams, and this is usually most of Suunto 9s are quite a bit more, but it's a really, really nice watch face. It isn't an always on watch face, which means that it'll turn off in a couple seconds if I leave it alone right there. So first it dims and then it turns off entirely. So it's gesture based, so as I flick it back up like this, it turns back on again. You can swipe to the right there like that to go ahead and get into standard Google Wear bits there. So you can see there's my calendar, weather, and so on, and I can tap on different ones here to get more details on that as well. So this then pulls it from my phone here, so it pulls it in like that, and then it uses a Bluetooth Smart for that. So there is no cellular in this device itself, so it is taking quite a while to do that, more than it has otherwise. Anyways, we'll just let that do its thing there. There we go, get ourselves back here, scrolling down through, again, standard stuff from Wear OS there itself. There is a microphone in here, so you can go ahead and talk to it, but you can't actually get any audio out of it unless you've got a Bluetooth audio device paired up to it. So there's no speaker in here except for just a simple beeper. So anyways, if there's also a couple things on the screen, sometimes the touching and camera stuff is really tough to do at the same time. So if you're seeing like mistaps, it's definitely me doing that. It's not the watch itself. The watch, when I'm actually using it on my wrist, no problems at all. So swiping up, this is where you get into smartphone notifications. So you can see synchronization of a workout from the Suunto app and then into Strava, YouTube notifications, and so on. All this stuff kind of very standard smartphone notifications right there. If I swipe down from the top, from from the top, I'll get the standard Wear OS settings. You can go change like display settings, connectivity. You can see there's Bluetooth for connecting to audio devices like headphones, as well as to my phone. There's Wi-Fi for connecting to Wi-Fi. To download things, there's NFC for contactless payments. So all the sort of the same stuff, or stuff that you would expect from Wear OS is here in these settings, and you can tweak all these just like you normally would. So storage-wise, there's 8 gigs on the unit itself, though 4 is addressable by you or usable by you for things like music as well as maps or any other apps that you want to put on there. Because it is Wear OS, that means you can install whatever apps that you want to fill in the gaps for things that Suunto might not have. So on the side here, you've got the 3 buttons, and on the back, you have the optical heart rate sensor. This is the one from LifeQ that we talked about before. Once I put it on my skin, it'll start reading. It'll show me the green lights in there and then show my heart rate. It is doing true 24/7 heart rate. So unlike Suunto's Suunto 9, for example, that isn't really true 24/7 heart rate in terms of how it gathers that data. This is, so that's pretty cool. Flipping over here, probably the coolest thing that you've been seeing on the back is the watch face itself. So this is actually a heat map of Las Vegas. So it's live of running right now, maybe not live, but like within a couple minutes or so of running. So really, really cool. And you can customize this by just changing the watch face there. So I go down to the bottom and I can choose what type of watch face, what type of heat map, sorry. So I can choose running, trail running, all the things. Like it's really kind of cool. I'm gonna leave it as running though, and I can choose a zoom level so you can see how far in or out. So I can choose city, for example, and then as I swipe back here, you can see it zoomed out a little bit there. That is like my favorite watch face of any sports watch, really any watch at all. Like it's awesome. So let's talk about the differences here. Right now, everything I've shown you thus far is Wear OS. So it has nothing to do with Suunto except that cool heat map, which is Suunto. But beyond that, it's all Wear OS stuff. To get into Suunto, I press this upper right-hand button right here, and this takes me into the Suunto app. And this is where they're doing all of the Suunto specific workout stuff. And I know you're seeing that kind of like flickering there. That's purely my camera and this thing. It looks clean. There's zero flickering in real life. So I tried for a while to fix it, but I'm almost out of battery, which is why I'm talking kind of fast. So I want to get through this before I lose the battery, and then you won't be able to see it anymore. So smartphone notification coming in right there. Choose your sport mode. So the same sport modes that you would have seen in the past. So you can see running, cycling, all the stuff that you normally would see on Suunto watches, except there is no multi-sport mode or triathlon mode. Neither of those are offered on this particular watch. Also, you'll see no sensor pairing in here. So you can see up top, there's the heart rate sensor right there on the back, but there is no connectivity to a Bluetooth Smart or Amp Plus heart rate, speed, cadence, power. None of that stuff is there today. Maybe down the road, but there's no particular plans right now. Exercise options, that allows you to turn on the screen for the entire duration of your workout. Also changes tones and vibrations. We go down to map options right there. This is where I can change the map style during the workout. So from outdoor to winter or to any of the heat maps that I want right there. So that's super, super duper cool. I can download maps. So you can download these maps ahead of time for different regions or areas. And I can zoom out like this and I can get into bigger areas so you can see it like that. And I can go ahead and then choose to download this. And once I connect to Wi-Fi, it'll go ahead and download that map. Supposedly Suunto says you can do it via Bluetooth and Bluetooth Smart, but it's super slow. Based on what I'm seeing thus far, that seems pretty accurate. It takes approximately forever to try to do it over Bluetooth Smart or Bluetooth. Maps are provided by Mapbox with underlying data from OpenStreetMaps as well. So all the way back to here, and let's see, general options, just a couple quick things like units and your profile, Google Fit connectivity. You can pump your workout into Google Fit as well. Google Fit gets all your 24/7 data, but you can also put your workout in there too. And then back here, diary is where I can look at my past workouts. We'll get to that in just a second, but I'll just simply click this to, actually hold on, one more thing, it's super cool. So I can swipe down and I can see the map of where I am right now. So there we go, I'm sitting here in Las Vegas at the signature MGM Grand, and I can zoom in and out on this as well. I can do it this way, not very easily. It's much easier to use the zoom buttons there. But anyways, really cool. I can swipe to start now, and this is how you start your workout. Now there are 3 data pages, that's it, just 3, 1, 2, 3, and you cannot customize anything here, end of story. So this is the first page right there. You can see my distance, my heart rate, this will show pace once I get going, and my time. Wouldn't worry too much that it shows 0.01. I'm next to 3 gigantic, I don't know, like 40-story buildings, so that's probably impacting GPS a little bit. I can press this button right here to change data fields to the next data page. or I can swipe as well. So you can see there's the maps. It hasn't finished downloading everything of where I am. So that's why, there we go, it actually just got it, great. So there we go, and that's my current location. And this will show me a breadcrumb trail as I'm running along or doing whatever I'm doing. So you can see that right now. I'll show you a little bit of B-roll from my run earlier on. And if I go again, swipe back to this here, this is the lap page. I will show you now some B-roll from the laps during my actual run as well. So you can see what that looks like kind of in real time. And then I can swipe again to get back to, again, this page here. And here's a bit more B-roll from my run. I actually had some stuff recorded from my run, but honestly, none of it came out very well because of the light and the sun and all that. The screen is super easy to see. It's super bright here in Vegas today, and no problems whatsoever doing the run itself. You can see there it is kind of going like into low power mode. So I think this is a bit of a beta bug, but that's all right. Once it wakes up there, I can swipe up at the bottom here and get to some of those exercise options again, just like we had in the past. And I can stop, and I can hit the lap button down the lower right hand corner and create a manual lap, or it does automatic laps. Right now it's set for every 1 mile because it's Imperial, so it goes ahead and does that automatically. I can stop it, and this is cool. So right now it's paused, but I can just hit this little button right there to get back to the screen. And while it's paused, I can still see my data pages. So kind of nice little touch there. And then I can hit this lower right-hand button right there to finally end the workout entirely. Now, once you end the workout, it goes to Suunto's Suunto App. So that's using this right here. So let me go back and show you what things look like in that briefly. So before we do that though, I'm gonna swipe to the right here. And this is where you see some of the Suunto specific widgets, if you will, or basically screens that are on the watch that are not in workout mode. So you can see this is the kind of my totals for the week. I can swipe again to see my overview. I can tap on this here. There we go, and it brings up my diary of my workouts, so you can see my run right there this morning. Before we do that, let me show you one more thing, which is the Google Fitbit for all of the activity tracking. So this is things like steps and daily activity stuff. That's all within the Google Fit side of stuff and not within any of the Suunto bits at all. So there's no tracking of that in Suunto, which I'll show you in just a second, but this is where I can see it right there. So going back over here, if we swipe again, we can go to Monday, and then from there I can choose my diary down at the bottom there, just different ways of doing this, and I can see my run from today. So you can see the 37 minutes, 4.33 miles, my pace, lots of stoplights, so just constant stops, which is why you see that. And then you see laps, heart rate zones, calories, altitude, descent, all the normal stuff. This is not provided by Firstbeat though, so just something to keep in mind. This is actually all Suunto's things. They've ditched Firstbeat for this particular watch. And then all of that then syncs to the Suunto app, which you can see right here. So this is the standard Suunto app that you've seen and loved in the past. And I can go in, of course, into this, and I can zoom in and see parts of the run and all that, just like you normally would. The one catch of the Suunto app though is that now there is no data from your daily activity. So there's no portion of the Suunto 7 sending things like steps, calories, sleep. All that stuff is purely going to Google Fit only and not to the Suunto app. So you lose all that, which is sort of a bit of a bummer for a fitness company that doesn't do fitness metrics. So you see like these steps and stuff right now, these are actually from, well, they're from last week, but everything else that you see here is actually from my Suunto 9 and not from the Suunto 7. Suunto says something they're looking at fixing probably in the springtime. But that's definitely a bit of a gap for right now. Okay, so there you go, a complete look at the Suunto 7. Now again, this is not a review. That's because the watch isn't final yet. It even says PVT on it right there, which means it's like a pre-production sort of validation type of thing. The software is definitely not final. It's not supposed to come out till later on this month, January 31st. So look out for my full in-depth review once that happens. So once I've got a final piece of hardware and a final piece of software and the time to test that, then I'll go ahead and put something together. So probably either later this month or more likely early February once all those things gel together. With that, thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, go ahead and whack that like button down the bottom there, or the subscribe button for more sports technology goodness here from CES and beyond.